Bill and Amy Lancaster are a husband and wife filmmaking team that make Bilco Productions. They are two ordinary people living with their dog in Southwest Virginia who decided to spice up their lives by making documentary-style films about the Bigfoot community. Both Bill and Amy enjoy learning about all subjects encompassing the strange and unexplained phenomena in this world. To date, their films together include Cultured Bigfoot, Paranormal Bigfoot, which absolutely love Paranormal Bigfoot, by the way. The world premiere for their third film in the trilogy, Native Bigfoot, is set April 4th at the Wild and Weird Con at Chief Logan State Park in Logan, West Virginia. It will be available for streaming on Amazon April 5th. DVDs may be purchased at bilco-productions.square.site. Then in the bottom of hour number 3, we will bring you our new Saturday feature, because there's something strange about this week. So, Bill and Amy, you there?
Yeah.
Well, welcome so much to our debut of John and Stacey Edwards on Spaced Out Saturday.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to let you try to help us through this. You know, it's our first foray into Spaced Out, so good stuff. I want to start out here and ask you just right off the top, just on a full disclosure type of thing. Me and Stacey, we love the first two films. Absolutely, we attended the premiere of the second one, and anybody who has not seen them, I would suggest that you go to Amazon Prime. And I believe they're both up on Amazon Prime. Yeah,
both of those are on Prime right now, yep.
Okay, good deal. And my favorite part of the second one, by the way, and I think I told you this before the show started, the Native American aspect of the paranormal Bigfoot, where you have the, just this incredible art and this incredible story and just some of the stories that was told about that, it really inspired me. So I was excited about Native Bigfoot, but tell us a little bit, in your words, about the premise of Native Bigfoot.
All right, well, I'm going to take this one. Basically, the premise of Bigfoot was when we discovered the Bigfoot community, me and Amy had been interested in the Bigfoot and the weird and UFOs and everything else. But when we discovered there was a community, we had found them on Facebook and YouTube and everything. And then we found out there were conferences and seminars and all that. So we went to our first seminar up the road at Hungry Mother State Park. Anyways, we had seen that there was a lot of interest that revolved around the community. And I'm trying to think where I'm going here.
So basically, in our involvement with the Bigfoot community, we've heard a lot of references to Native American folklore and what the Native Americans believe about Bigfoot. And that piqued our interest. We'd look into it, and we've tried to get a selection of different of the Native American tribes and nations so that we could offer the different perspectives and some similar perspectives. So we have, I guess it's four different.
And just as simplistic as it sounds, I kind of wanted a north, south, east, west perspective, and Canadian, Coshishing, First Nations. We got a Yakima, Washington, two of those folks. We got Cherokee from Oklahoma, which also extends back into east. And so we basically did and then we got Apache from down south in Texas. And so we kind of wanted to literally get perspectives from the four corners of the country, so to speak. And the kind of the thing from the other two films that led us to Native Bigfoot was the fact that every time we interviewed somebody, like 90% of the time, it always came back to the natives know, the First Nations know. And that was always one of those things. You could have somebody you'd be interviewing and they would say, well, this happens, this happens, this happens, and this happens, but there's a native thing. and then another person would say this happens, this, but then there's the native perspective. So everybody would say several different things, but almost everybody always pointed at the native perspective, and so we were super interested in going that direction, and that's where I think Amy was the one who, in the very beginning, when we released the first film, like that day it went up on Amazon, you sat down and wrote like 10 pages of the next one and decided it was being received enough that we, and she had mentioned that we need to make the third one our best one, and we need to end up with the native perspective. And so that's kind of how it evolved and where it went.
Right. Well, that's, I mean, like I said, I'm very excited. I know we may have secretly got a copy of the film, which, you know, I won't tell anybody, especially on radio or anything. But we didn't get a chance to take a look at it yet, which really bummed about, but I know what we're going to do as soon as the show is over, because I literally, now sometimes you just say this stuff to a guest and it's just lip service, you know, but I have literally talked about this ever since I found out this was your topic. And then when I seen you guys going across the United States in your camper, I just couldn't wait. I was like, you know, there is nothing but good that comes out of a couple going in a camper across the United States. So pretty excited about that.
And not every moment was good.
What's that?
Not every moment was good.
Well, I mean, that's what makes it beautiful. You know, it's I can relate, trust me. It's we do a lot of those journeys. So
I have a question for Amy.
Sure.
I know that you were probably more, I believe, interested in the weirder things before you guys got started into this whole Bigfoot, looking into it. Were you the one that decided to do the Bigfoot hunting, or was it a joint decision, or how did that come about?
Okay, well, that's an interesting perspective, because Bill definitely was more into the Bigfoot side of it. You know, as far as us being, we might have been equally into the weirder things. I maybe have a little more of a history of weird things in my life than he does. And honestly, for a period of time, I maybe shied away from it some, but he had gotten into the Bigfoot, and Bigfoot was surprisingly about the least I was interested in as far as weird things go. But I did finally hear some good radio shows with Bigfoot in them, and it did finally pique my interest. But in the history of the whole filmmaking is that he had gone to this convention, because he'd been wanting to find a documentary subject, and he came back from this convention and said, I know what I want to make my film about. And I said, everybody is running around in the woods looking for Bigfoot. How are we going to make it different? So that's when we decided to go ahead and make it about the community and really try and delve into the rationale of it, rather than around looking for something that to this point cannot be found, or verified at least.
Right.
So that's really where the inspiration came from. It was kind of mutual. It was both of us. And then honestly, I cultured Bigfoot, which was about the community at large. It was kind of our broad perspective. That I had already thought, well, there are two other really big points. Is the paranormal side, and the other is the native. So the whole inspiration was there all along. We just were taking it a step at a time and weren't sure that we would even make it as far as making native Bigfoot.
Right. Yeah.
If you can't tell she's the writer, is she can express herself a lot better than me.
Well, that kind of goes in with my question. And my question was going to be for Bill anyway, but, Amy kind of answered some of it there. I just wanted to know, going back to the beginning here, what really created the Bilco saga there? We've had the 3 films now that have come out, and I know it's actually 4, but 3 in the Bigfoot range. So what got you absolutely interested in this, and what got you on this range? Because this is, I mean, quickly becoming your main career.
Yeah, I mean, it was the wanting to make a film. I'm a geek. I was a Star Wars fan, but I knew I couldn't make Star Wars. My dad carried his little camera in Vietnam with him, and so he was a photo bug that led over to me being a small child and having a little 110 camera, if you remember those, and just kind of advanced from there. And as I met Amy, it was one of those things that she pushed me to take my photography a step further. And one Christmas, I believe it was, she'd give me a little box and put some money in it and wrote a note that I was to use this to get me a new digital camera. I was a black and white film holdover. And anyway, she urged me to get a new digital camera. If I spent any of the money on her, she would never talk to me again. So that was a strong influence to step into the digital age. And then when I upgraded, I got a camera that would shoot video, because at that time they were starting to make them to where they could do both. And so anyways, I ended up figuring out that this was within my reach with a laptop and some decent software, and slowly adding equipment. I could actually make documentary films. No super sci-fi special effects, CGI type stuff at this point, but I could make some decent looking little films. And it just kind of evolved from there. But it was just I was that kid as far as just the evolving into the wanting to do the Bigfoot. Me and her were the kind of people. On our first anniversary, we went with our little time from our home in Bristol, Tennessee at the time, all the way out to the Badlands and Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse and Devil's Tower. And along the way, if I can say this, we listened to Coast AM, listening to all the weird stories and looking at the skies as we were driving. And so that was before this whole film thing came around. And so we both were really interested in that stuff. Kid, I had seen, our favorite Vulcan, Leonard Nimoy, on In Search Of, showing what's now called the Patterson-Gimlin footage. So I'd seen Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man, wrestle the bionic
Andre
Bigfoot.
the Giant.
Yeah. And when I was in grade school, your Scholastic Reader and Weekly Reader and Xerox stuff, book clubs, you used to order the cool cars, the UFOs, the Loch Ness Monster, Bermuda Triangle. I used to get those books of all those neat and weird things, but I had to throw the futuristic Batman looking cars in there, but because I was a typical guy back then too.
Right.
Not that I'm not anymore, but anyway, so it came from an early age that I was interested in that stuff, but I didn't really give a big, thought to it beyond that growing up and adulting and everything. And it was one of those, when Finding Bigfoot got popular, I had seen a few episodes of that and thought it was interesting. So that kind of brought it back around. But it was really, me and Amy getting together and realizing that we liked listening to the weird podcast and the UFO stuff and, all that kind of thing that really, evolved it all into, well, maybe we have the resources during age that we can do this from the house and do some traveling, and we call it at this point our Bigfoot work vacations, because we're working on all of these travels, but at this point it's been Bigfoot related, so I hope that I went all over the place there, but that's basically in a nutshell how it kind of came from me being a kid interested, meeting her, and us both being interested in subject. Always being a photog kind of thing and wanting to film.
Right. No. Yeah, it sounds, that's exactly what I was wondering. It's really, really a neat journey that you guys have had. And I know you had talked to me earlier before we went on the air and said it was, mostly the journey that was the exciting part.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, doing this stuff, and most of it was the. Of course, we both were self-employed, so we have our jobs, and so if she couldn't go, then I would have to go and do the interviews, and she would write me some very interesting questions, and then I would go interview and film and everything. But most of it, we tried to make sure for all three of them that we could do it together because it's so neat to, and I mean, I've said this, she's my best friend, and for us to be able to travel and meet, have that, in the Bigfoot community, we've basically met the, most valuable players of the Super Bowl in the Bigfoot community within about a 3-year time from, Bob Gimlin and Jeff Meldrum and Lyle Blackburn and Seth Breedlove and Cliff and Bobo and David Becara. And I mean, you just go on down the line from the people with the museums to the people on TV to the people making films to the people writing books to the on the ground researchers. We've got to meet and know a whole bunch of people in it. And so we just got to really learn. I mean, and that's what made our films different was we were as a whole doing Bigfoot documentaries, but we were concentrating on the people who look for Bigfoot. And Amy's famous tagline from the first film is, "We're not seeking Sasquatch, but the much easier to find Squatcher," kind of says it all. And that's what set our films apart. And that's what people liked was that we were still talking about Bigfoot, researching in our own way by researching the researchers.
Well, Amy, I want to ask you, now that you've made these documentaries and you've talked to all of these researchers and you've heard all these stories, what do you think personally, do you think Bigfoot is? I know there's a lot of theories out there.
Yeah, I try to be really cautious about giving too much away, primarily because I like to lay out different perspectives in the film and let people think for themselves or make those judgments for themselves. But, usually how I answer this question is I've not seen a Bigfoot, so I don't know for sure, but I'm obviously very open to this world. So I think that the possibility that Bigfoot exists in the first place is pretty strong. Mm-hmm. As far as what he is, I'm having more and more of a difficult time believing he is a flesh and blood undiscovered ape species. There's just too many questions or too many conflicts and how to think that he could be that. There's too much evidence that, if I'm going to believe someone's word of mouth that they've seen a Bigfoot, mm-hmm. Why would I not believe the next step that they've seen a Bigfoot vanish or do something else strange that puts them kind of more in a paranormal world? So as cautious as I am to place myself in that camp, I'm afraid I might be there.
Well, I know.
But as far as...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, as far as defining what he is in the paranormal world, there is absolutely no way I could do that because now we've stepped into an unknown. So I just have to leave it right there.
Well, I was going to say, I know how you feel because before we watched your first two documentaries, I didn't know that much about Bigfoot, but it really changed my perspective on a lot of theories I had, like going from him being flesh and blood to maybe being something a little more paranormal. Just hearing all those testimonials and all those people, talking about it and their points of view is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our own experience when I finally got her out in the woods in Maine to go with me to a hot spot. And when we went, it was basically the day after someone had a sighting in a field, and they were on their way to work early in the morning, and they seen something just squatted down in the field, and it ended up standing up, and obviously it was a Bigfoot. So they had made a video about it. It was about 2 hours north, and basically, 75% of Maine seems to be forest, but it's very dense woods. And I got her up there, and we were just going. I mean, it took, I don't know, we were going through these access roads, fire roads, for a couple of hours. And there was a fire road we were on called the Golden Road, and it's rocks everywhere, and you have to go very slow. You'll pop your tire. And we were four-wheeling it through there, going, like I said, super slow. And we weren't even out of the vehicle. We were just looking at the sides of the trees, and the trees were just right up on the vehicle. And it was like a full moon that night, so everything looked really bright, and we were both looking the same direction, which never happens. And
ever.
And all of a sudden, we seen something go behind a tree, and it was large, tall, the size of what you would expect a Bigfoot to be. But yeah, that's really changed us a little bit with what it could be, according to some people's stories. It was good stuff. But hey, we're getting ready to. I'll switch it here to Stacy.
Yes, we're getting ready to take a short break, so we'll be back with Bill and Amy Lancaster in just a few moments. Stick around.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website, and let's figure out what's going on together.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey Spaced Out Radio fans, it's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Saturday with John and Stacey Edwards. We're talking with Bill and Amy Lancaster about their new film, Native Bigfoot.
Yes, and I've got a question. I was going to get to it at the end there of before we went to the break. And really, I was curious because you were talking about how you guys were into some weird stuff before you got into the Bigfoot. And I was just wondering, outside of the Sasquatch, Bigfoot community, have you guys ever experienced anything, strange, do you have any UFO events or any kind of paranormal events? Because so many times I find that people that are in one of these fields or was drawn to one of these fields have similar events happen to them, throughout just the world of the strange.
Well, I'll start and then Amy can take over there. It's kind of funny. I'll be honest with you, I've always been more of a UFO guy than anything. Absolutely fascinated with it from, the beginning. Anyways, I can tell you as far as strange events, and one of them is actually as far as that goes, UFOs, I can remember when we lived in Columbus, Ohio, and we were outside of our house. Now, keep in mind, I was probably in about the second grade around this time, and I was out there playing and looked straight up, and knowing what I know now because I'm a drone pilot, it was probably 20,000 feet in the air. Up above me, 20,000 feet in the air, was what looked like a very skinny yellow letter Y that was going across the sky kind of I'm sure it was going fast, but you know how you can look at a jet and it looks like it's barely moving. And I just remember looking up and seeing that and being like, oh, wow, what was that? And I remember saying something to my dad or whatever. And so that was kind of neat. Well, with my dad's job with several different states, so the next time, and for the folks from West Virginia that are listening, and I'm sure there's a few of them, we lived over in Parkersburg, West Virginia. And me and my brother, my little brother, now we were probably third, fourth grade at this time. We were in the parking lot of a grocery store, and it was me and my brother, and I don't remember if it was dad or mom, but one of them went in the grocery store and the other one was in the car with it. And all of a sudden, it was like the perfect UFO sighting that you couldn't have done it better in Hollywood. There was this thing coming towards the parking lot that had these rotating white lights on the bottom and a red dot on top, just like I think it's the McMinnville UFO. It reminded you that's what it was going to look like. This was at night. It was dark, and it was coming towards us. And I remember going, oh my gosh, and oh my gosh, we were literally having a UFO come right at us, and it was low enough that you could really start making out details. And John and Stacy, when it got to us, it banked and turned, and it was one of these old helicopters that had a rotating, digital light sign on the bottom that was like for re-election, and how it was all bulbs. But because it was from the side, you were seeing the side of it. So all you saw was rows of lights flashing in a perfect cigar shape, and then the red dot was obviously on top where the rotor was. Well, we were like, oh my gosh, and all of a sudden we were like, oh. So that was just, I don't even know if I ever told Amy. She's laughing.
No, I've never heard this story.
But that was just really, really weird. And anyways, and then had back in 95 when I was deer hunting with my brother up on, and you'll know where this is, the Shady Valley side of Holston Mountain in the Cherokee National Forest.
Oh, absolutely.
The short of it is you go in before sunup and you come out at dark. Basically you're in there before the deer get up and everything. And I was sitting on the side of a hill, and Holston Mountain around there, 500 feet. And so the sun started coming up, and you thought it was fog, but basically a cloud was coming over top of the mountain. And so it diffused into that cloud and just hung there. And you couldn't see the end of my 30-30 I was hunting with. And so I just sat there and rotated back and forth in a 360 degree, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And probably 15 minutes goes by. It's quiet. You don't hear a thing. I am kind of at the edge of an old abandoned apple orchard and the foundation for an old home. And all of a sudden, I turn around to my left, and standing behind me, literally just inches away from the gun barrel in the fog, was a giant patch of fur. Now, keep in mind, we have black bears. This
right
of a deer, but it was the thickness of like a chow dog's neck. And so it was the color of a deer, but it wasn't the, how real tight the fur is on a deer. Well, anyways, I spun around and stood up and pointed my gun, and it was gone. Well, that was the weird thing, was I never heard it come up and I never heard it leave, and it was that close behind me. Well, somebody at one of the conferences tells somebody this, because they always want to know if you've seen a Bigfoot. And I said, no, I never had. And they're like, well, have you had anything weird happen? And I thought, well, I had this happen when we were hunting, but I would never say it was a Bigfoot. Knowing what I know now, and knowing that there are sightings out there of Bigfoot and Dogman, I have been told more than likely that's what it was. And because it was the eerie quietness, and you didn't come or go. And anyway, so those are the three that I can, tell that I can really think of right off the bat. Now, Amy, probably has some interesting ones that she can share.
What about it, Amy?
Yeah. Well, my family actually has a history of paranormal activity. Both of my parents grew up in homes with activity, and we had activity my entire growing up years in any of the homes we lived in, essentially. Now, I was young enough in some of them I don't remember a whole lot. My father, interestingly, tells a story about when he was young. They had a house that I believe had some kind of activity, some kind of presence there. But he had a large, hairy creature come out of his closet that he saw. That it terrified him. And he ran to his parents' room down the hall and hid under their bed. And this is the middle of the night. And he actually saw the creature come out and stop in his parents' doorway and look down at him hiding under the bed, and then it went on. So, my father is a little giddy about this Bigfoot subject due to that experience.
Right.
My mother, apparently she a little bit with the occult when she was a teenager, did the Ouija boards and that kind of thing. So, we're not really sure why this has happened in our family. We've speculated, obviously it's on both sides of the family. So we don't really know where this comes from. But, growing up, some of my earliest memories were seeing some odd looking entities in my bedroom. And I think that's one of the reasons I've, for a period of time, kind of steered clear of the subject, because there was actually growing up a lot of fear in our homes. Some of the nights it was, it wasn't a pleasant growing up experience for us. But as far as UFOs, I have never seen a thing.
The thing by the creek.
The thing by the creek, what?
When you were little playing by the creek?
Yeah, it's not ringing a bell.
You were playing and then all of a sudden creek and they couldn't figure out how.
Oh, well, okay. Well, so an experience that there are some experiences in my life that suggest Bigfoot, but certainly nothing that, I would say as an absolutely was a Bigfoot experience.
Right.
Those that have read the David Paulides books will recognize the significance of the stories of when I was about 2, maybe 3 years old, Butte Falls area of Oregon, which is incidentally one of his clusters, his disappearances. And I was playing in the yard, and my mother was watching me out the kitchen window. She was cooking, and she says that she was, she would do something and look. She was looking at me at least every 5 seconds. And I vanished out of the yard. And she said that she had an internal she needed to go look for me now. So she runs outside. I'm not in the yard. And then she said this internal voice told her again that she needed to look in the creek, which was, down the driveway, and there's a bridge to the main road. So she runs down to the creek, and she looks down in the creek, and I'm sitting in the middle of the creek, a toddler. But she said the odd thing was that the creek was lined both sides very thickly with the marionberries, the blackberries, the briars.
Right.
And she got tore up trying to get down to the creek to rescue me. And she said she could never figure out how I got down into the creek and did not have a scratch on me. So, in the interesting points, again, this is probably only of interest to people that have read the David Paulides books, are that, a young child disappears from the yard, is found in water, and briars apparently are also a very significant part of that. Now, of course, the difference is I was found very quickly, so that doesn't really fit into his profile for the cases that he looks at. But it was just kind of, when I read those books, it was just it really made me remember that story, and I thought, well, that's strange. I wonder how I did get down into the creek.
Yeah. I've never been able to put them down.
So anyway, but that was just kind of an interesting, irony in my life that just has made me wonder. Of course, obviously there's there's nothing you can do but wonder about that. And as far as the Bigfoot phenomenon goes also, I never realized this, or it never clicked until I got involved with the researching, but I've definitely had that scenario of you're walking through the forest alone, that there's footsteps that are matching yours, and when you stop, they stop. You hear that a lot. And that had happened to me, but I had never had any clue that there was any connection to the Bigfoot phenomenon with that incident where you walk and you know something is walking at pace with you. You can hear it over your own footsteps, but then you stop to try and hear it, and it stops. I mean, just perfectly timed. So certainly I've had that. It's also, which, makes me wonder, but again, you can't prove it, and you certainly can't, insist that someone believe that was something outside of your imagination. But I have found it peculiar how much I've heard people say that, and I've experienced it.
Well, funny enough, John has experienced that himself, only on a paranormal investigation at Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Him and another friend of ours that investigated with us, they had that quite often one night where they would walk and you could hear someone walking with you, and then you'd stop and it would stop. It was very strange. Yeah,
we actually captured it on evidence, and it was like our second or third trip there, back like 2007 or so. But I actually created the Scooby-Doo maneuver out of that. So we were walking along, and I was like, all right, man, listen, we're going to stop this time. And as soon as we do, we turn around real quick with our flashlights. And so we did it, and it was like, all right, we heard it walking, and I was like, Scooby-Dooby. And then we turned around with our flashlights, and people can believe it or not, but what we seen was pretty mind-blowing. It was the bottom part of an apparition going into the room. The room would have been, anybody who's familiar with Waverly Hills Sanatorium, it would have been the pharmacy area on the first floor. And we seen just fleshy colored legs, nothing on them. And it was just the two legs run into that room, which is, I don't know if something was trying to appear all the way or trying not to appear or what have you. But what we seen was the legs, and we both seen it. And it really, you talking about just feeling strange, is just seeing part of a body. Yeah. So that was just, when you were talking about that, Amy, both of us were getting chills just thinking about it. But I know how you feel in the woods. It's quite harrowing. One thing you did say, though, and if you don't feel like going deeper into it, I understand. But when you were younger, having the certain entities in your room, do you remember anything about these?
Specifically about them, yes, I do. I do remember, in fact, one of my earliest memories was when I was still in my crib. I woke up and there were like these three, and as a young child, I described them as Muppets, and I was afraid of Muppets, as a young child. They creeped me out because of this experience. So I Muppet-looking creatures, staring at me over the side of my crib. And I remember kind of doing the young child start to scream. And so there were actually those visuals. And my older brother and I seem like, there's four of us, seem like the ones with the most experience. My younger two siblings, not so much. But so there were incidents I've heard about that I don't remember. And then, certainly in the home that I grew up most of my life, it was kind of interesting because we had moved here to Virginia, and we were living on a farm that my family had one time had a piece of, but apparently had sold out to the family that they partnered with. So, but we were living on that farm in the house, 100-something-year-old house that some of my relatives in. And what is the joke was always because there had been this great uncle, Uncle Bird is what we called him, who had died in our home. And it was ruled a suicide, but my grandmother always dropped strong hints that it was a murder, and she knew who it was, but I don't know who she thought it was. I don't think she ever told. Anyway, so the big joke was, well, Uncle Bird is, active again, or Uncle Bird is in the root cellar, or get you if you took somewhere. Whether that was an influence on the experience in that home, I don't know, because again, there is kind of that history in my family. And I would see things like, I would have something like my foot would be grabbed and I'd be jerked awake, and I'd see an orange ball go over my head, orange ball of light, or, just not so much. I didn't see so much physical beings or manifestation of beings, but it would be more strange things that would happen. And of course, people that have experienced that will understand that heavy sense of dread that you get when there is a foreboding presence. And so we certainly experience that quite often, even without seeing anything. But, we did occasionally witness odd things happening.
Did the grown-ups believe you?
They experienced them too.
Oh, okay. So I guess they did.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's some pretty heavy. Really, that's some heavy experiences. I don't know if I'll ever look at Muppets quite the same.
It's one of those things that when she had told me that, it was one of those things that that's why I don't like Muppets. And of course, and so I loved Sesame Street as a kid, and she obviously did.
I get the humor of the Muppet movies now. It's not that I won't watch them. It's just that there's sort of that reservation still.
No, I get you, man.
Creepy Elmo sticking his head over the bed. Tickle me.
Yeah, no. And what's creepy about it is, we talked about the UFO experiences, and a lot of the things you were describing, I know people will straight up go to paranormal, but it also sounds very much like you may have the aliens. There's a lot of that sounds familiar as far as what you hear with some people who have had, generational abduction type experiences. And not saying it is, but I'm just saying there's some similarities there because it could be not that there's a run of the mill, but the run of the mill ghost or whatever. One of the other things that really sticks out is the fact you have memories from your crib. I mean, that's how much that must have affected you. So
we do. Well, both my older brother and I remember some very early childhood memories. Now they're certainly faded at this point in my adult life, but for a long time we could tell stories that our parents couldn't believe that we remembered. So we definitely had some early memories. And as far as well, actually, I lost my train of thought, so I'll go back to you.
No, it's fine. It was probably that was the aliens right there. Sometimes we'll just turn it off.
And just got zapped.
And now the memory is gone.
Yeah.
So much childhood memories.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we forgot to whop that part. Let's get rid of it. No, that's
on a radio show that reached enough people that they had to zap.
They had to do a tune-up.
Yeah, no, and there's a specific question I'm going to get back into when we hit hour 2, because I don't think we'll have enough time to really get into it at this point, but it's something for Bill that I've got a question on. But I will ask, with all the research you've been doing, how did the tribes and people that you spoke with in the Native American First Nations communities, were they completely okay with it? Did you have to get any blessings to speak to people? Was it forthcoming with information, or did it take some work?
Well, it took building relationships, and it took doing your research, and I had found out a couple things to really show respect when I was reaching out to them, and then once we actually were face to face, and each one of them that recognized that I was showing something, and I won't go into it, but I was doing something that respected their culture, and by thanking them for allowing us to be here. We even had Chief Brian from the Koshishing Nation that in Ontario, Canada, that gave us permission to film the last day of the powwow up there, which is really unheard of. And I had told them, and I don't have the documentation and stuff. I have my grandmother's story that myself, I have Cherokee blood in me, and it's always been something that I've been interested in, but I have had to be an adult too long to do adulting things that I haven't been able to trace it, except for recording my grandmother in the hospital telling us about our great-great-grandfather, Polk Brown, who was a full-blooded Cherokee, lived 115. So me having a braid that's down to my belt and just, having that look and being able to tell them that, look, I'm not trying to claim anything here, not like any political candidate or anything, but we know we have Cherokee in us. And then just being respectful in how I approached it, and then basically offering some thanks to them.
Bill, I don't want to have to cut you off there. We do have to go to break, so we'll pick that up right after our break.
Sure.
Hey, space travelers. This is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best-rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio Saturday. We are your guides, John and Stacey Edwards.
We welcome back everyone listening on our terrestrial affiliates. Stacey got me cracked up there. WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we're on Revolution Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And do me a solid and smash that subscribe button.
And the website is spacedoutradio.com, where you have a boatload of features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shop at the Spaced Out Radio store, you can read up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more.
And once again, we're joined by Bill and Amy Lancaster as we discuss their new film, Native Bigfoot. Bill and Amy, still with us?
Yeah, we're here.
Good deal.
Amy.
Good deal. I sort of teased this before the break, and just really want to ask a question here. You know, we've made a lot of the our own independent documentaries, and I know when doing that, there's some cutting room floor type stuff or some things you don't feel like fit into the film, maybe because it's strange or not that I'm fishing here, but is there anything that maybe you didn't put into the film or any strange events that have happened in doing the films that you may have, Bill?
Well, comes to mind two particular things. One of them was actually partially filmed, and the other one was just told to me while we were actually at an event showing a film. And I'll start out with the one that was at one of the events we were at. I won't say the place or the state or anything to kind of preserve their identities and all that stuff like that, or their names, because basically I was at an event, and I'm telling you this story because it happened to be active duty and retired officers. And these folks are trained observers. Their testimony of what they see can be used against you in a court of law. So it's really hard to just dismiss when these guys tell you something strange or unusual that me or you would just be laughed at. These guys are trained to observe this stuff, and to the point that they can, use it in court against you. So I was at a conference, and we've had to do quite a few of these. The first year we did like 15 with the film. The second year we did like 9. And this year we're doing like 3. We're kind of scaling it down. So be in front of a lot of folks, and you get a lot of interesting stories. So I just got done showing our film at this place, and I had these two gentlemen come up, and they identified themselves, and one was an active duty and one was a retired I think they were sheriff and sheriff deputies, something like that. One of them was kind of a higher ranking than the other. And they said, "Hey, I want to tell you something," because he knew we were getting ready to make Paranormal Bigfoot and had already started filming. Now, he said that, "I'm going to tell you this, but I won't go on camera. But I'm going to tell you this." And this was just absolutely one of the most fantastical stories I've heard, but it was so hard not to believe these guys, just their sincerity and their profession. So basically, guys were also part of a Bigfoot research group, and they were out one night, and they had night vision, and they had FLIR, and they were observing this field. And they were watching, and the guy with night vision was kind of scanning the field and didn't see anything. And the guy with the FLIR, the thermal imaging, all of a sudden he saw something standing large in the field. He described it was probably 100 yards away from him. And the guy said, "Do you see that?" And the guy with the night vision is like, "Do you see what?" And he goes, "You don't see that?" And so he looked through his night vision. He goes, "There's nothing out there." Well, the guy with the FLIR is like, "Yeah, there is. Look here." So now they're both staring at the FLIR and checking back and forth. And they're like, "What is that?" Well, they see this very tall creature in the field, and what he described, it had its back and its side to him. So they could see its back and like its left arm and leg and kind of the side profile of the face. And he said it was standing at what appeared to be a podium height, triangular, for lack of a better word, he said, looked like a control panel. It was standing right in front of it. They were like, "What is this?" Now they looked back at the night vision, and they didn't see anything down there, including this podium triangular looking control panel thing. But they said they both were watching the FLIR, and this thing looked back over its shoulder at them raised a hand up from its side, laid it on the podium, and it disappeared from the FLIR.
Wow.
And
wow.
Like, what? And I begged them to let me, I had my equipment with me, to let me film them, and they would not. That was, I mean, we've had several, but that was one of the coolest, most fantastic stories that I had heard that I wanted in there, but, you know, they weren't willing to do it. And so that's why I was, you know, that was probably but then as far as cutting room floor, I guess I can talk about when we did Allen and we were going to go out on the islands, the Sasquatch Island kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, we missed an opportunity.
Yeah, all right. And I think I told you about this. This one was absolutely fascinating because this fella, and he's in the film, Alan Yerkes a senior, and he's in the Koshushan Nation tribal band office. And I think he's with like Land and Resources, college educated. So this is another one of these guys. And that's another thing. Almost all of our Native and First Nation folks also had jobs within the nation they were representing and were well-spoken, educated folks. And so, you know, they kind of led more credibility to the fantastical stuff they were sharing about their Native culture and beliefs in the creature. Well, we were supposed to boat ride because it was like right on the edge of, like, I think it's Lake Superior, one of the big lakes up there, if I remember correctly. And you had to use a boat to get out to this island that was basically a sacred spot to them, where they would do like vision quests and whatnot. And they would, you know, put the person out there and they would do the fasting and stay by themselves for 2 or 3 days. Well, he had talked about where we were going to, and I'll just spoiler alert, we did, because the weather didn't cooperate. And then when it did, it was too late to make a trip out there and back. And so it all got canceled. But the reason we were going is because on this island, and it sounded like a big island, out there in the middle of the lake, that there were these petroglyphs that were arranged on rocks in the shape of like a wagon wheel spokes.
Oh, wow.
On the ground, and in the center of it is, and they were from ancient times or had been there a long time, and in the center of it was where they would like set up their tents and build their fires and stuff to do their ceremonial stuff and their vision quest. Well, he had said that literally they have been out there and seen portals open up on that spot and seen these Bigfoot, they call them Sasquatch and Bigfoot, the name for it, Sabi, and has seen these creatures step out of these portals. And that the other interesting thing was, if you stood there and looked straight up, it aligned with the center star in Orion's belt. And then if you followed the ley lines all the way around the globe, it also aligned with Stonehenge. And wow. I thought that was just absolutely, because he went on to say that there was a lady that was out there, and this was on, we'll be including this in a future project, but the interview portion anyways, there was a lady that was out there by herself doing one of the ceremonies, vision quest or whatever, and was set up in her tent and everything, and they would go back and check on her each day, and they had come back after the first day, and she was really nervous, and she had said that there had been stuff walking in the center of that where the portal was, and the petroglyphs and all that, and the wagon wheel shaped spokes, and said that there was something walking around. And then she had mentioned that there was like, she had came outside and there was like this giant snake, but the snake turned into a Sasquatch as it left. So
wow,
it's one of those things you're like, you're in there going, oh my gosh, what are you know, it's the stuff that in the Bigfoot community, they make fun of what they call the paranormal or the woo crowd. It's a derogatory term meaning woo, you know, crazy.
Oh, well, yeah. I think the listeners are well familiar.
that's exactly what the flesh and blood crowd eats up on these people. Well, these are coming from traditional tribal people talking about these experiences. That was one of those that, unfortunately, because we couldn't get to the island and we wanted other parts of his interview more to add stuff to, so it had to make it, it was on the cutting room floor. That's why I'm sharing it, because after we get done with native Bigfoot, we have been asked many times if we could share some more of the interviews, because you're with these people for 45 minutes or an hour, but you only 5 to 15 minutes of their stuff. So what we're going to do is Bilco Productions is doing a Bigfoot archives, and so we'll share some of these behind the scenes and these extended uncut interviews that'll tell a lot of these stories that didn't make it in. So those are the two most significant wild things that didn't make it into the films from two different films.
I'd like to ask Amy, I know I heard a rumor that when you all were doing Paranormal Bigfoot, the B-roll for that you were filming at a paranormal location that's pretty local to us called Sensabaugh Tunnel, and something really strange happened.
Yes. So I don't know if you want me to give a little history on Sensabaugh Tunnel.
Yeah, probably, because I don't think many people outside of this particular area are familiar with it.
Okay. So, Bill, why don't you know the story better than I do? So why don't you tell
I'll tell the story. Her take over, because I had her doing the filming for this. So, and I'll kind of explain some of the technical stuff in the end that makes it impossible for what we caught. But basically, if you live around the Tri-Cities area, Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia, and you were young and dumb like me and you were, John, you would go to 5 Caves and Sensabaugh Tunnel and the Birthday House, and you would go looking for these places. Most of the time, trying to scare the girls that were with you, so you'd get a hug and they'd go home, So anyway, so the thing was Sensabaugh Tunnel down in I think it's actually in Hawkins County line down there, Sullivan County, Hawkins County. There is this train tunnel basically that goes underneath the train track. It's not real long, but on the left side, if you're going in it, there's a creek that runs through it. Well, that the family farmers that lived on the other side, there's several stories, but the story I was always told was that the mother kind of went crazy, and she had her 2 babies, and she went into the tunnel and she drowned the babies in the tunnel. And if you go through the tunnel and you get to the other side, there's a graveyard on the other side where you have to turn around through, or else you drive way out into the country, and you don't want to do that after all this. Well, anyways, basically, if you drive through that tunnel at midnight, of course, and you stop in the middle and shut your vehicle off and roll the windows down, you'll hear the babies crying, and your vehicle start moving. And if you know, John, as I do, it's a flat tunnel, so it really shouldn't roll forward or backward. And I've had a personal experience in that crap right out of me. So that's kind of that's what it is. It's a haunted tunnel. And so we'll go from there, because we had wanted to do some interesting B-roll footage for Paranormal Bigfoot. And so we took Amy down there to shoot some. And then I can take my DJI Mavic Pro and I can put it on what's called a katana, and I can turn it into, and I can turn it into a 4K gimbal camera, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had given it to her to go walking through the tunnel back and forth and getting some B-roll. And that's where I'll let her take it over.
Okay. So I was actually going to back up a little more than that, because part of the reason we were doing the B-roll film footage there is we had done an interview with a woman who didn't make it into the film because we just couldn't find a way to fit or relevant to some of the other interviews. But she had told some story that about a lady in white that was in association with these Bigfoots on someone's farm. And it's a fairly common story about these two brothers that had a Bigfoot issue on their farm, and there was a lady in white that would walk, and I think she would walk across the property. I think activity started, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so we were going to do a little B-roll for that story because at the time we thought we were going to include it. So we went down to the tunnel, and I had, kind of a white robe, and we were going to do kind of some foggy, faded out footage of me in the tunnel, or kind of standing at the mouth of the tunnel. So I was kind of standing at the mouth of the tunnel, and there's this water just runs through this tunnel. And I know that there is farmland, but we had kind of been doing some B-roll footage all around the area and saw no animals, but I'm standing there and I heard a goat bleat just like right in my ear. And I thought, well, that is strange.
That's weird.
Now, the tunnel definitely carries sound. I mean, you can stand at one end and hear a person clearly just because of the way the sound gets funneled through there. It's possible that was coming from far away, but I took an extra look around and there were no goats
right.
anywhere that we could see. So that actually really kind of gave me chills as I was standing there. And I was beginning to get that sense that maybe there was something odd about this place. So then, of course, I was the one that had the shoes on to walk through the tunnel with Bill's. He had put on the.
You basically can put these, it's called a katana, and you put these hand grips on your drone instead of flying it, and it turns it into a camera.
So it's very well stabilized, so that's why we were using it. So because I'm not an expert cameraman, it would be smoother footage in my hands.
Turns it into a steady cam.
So I'm walking through this dark tunnel all by myself, trying not to be creeped out, and I get to and it's way. I mean, it's not like we were filming in the middle of the night, but it was still creepy. So I get to the far end of the tunnel, and I'm watching, and the video picture just starts jumping around, and I think, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And I didn't, because I don't know my way around a camera. I thought, well, I'll just keep walking and filming, the inside of the tunnel, and I get to the far end. Step out a ways and film, and then turn around so that I can get a look at the mouth of the tunnel as I go back in. And the entire time that I am on that end of the tunnel, the picture is just jumping up and down and all around, and I cannot figure out what I'm doing wrong. I'm just holding a camera and walking. So I take it back to Bill. I'm like, I'm sorry, I must have pushed a button. I don't know what happened. But it's tunnel and away from that area, it smooths back out, and it goes back to just kind of the normal filming of me walking through the tunnel. So anyway, we thought that was pretty odd. I wasn't sure.
Well, the thing that's odd about it is, John and Stacy, is the camera is stabilized. So even if she tilts it and aims up, it won't aim up. You have to put your finger on the phone and you have to physically move the gimbal so that it aims upwards. So it's not she can't do that. You have to make it do that on the app on the phone. Well, the thing that was interesting about that, because we immediately were able to look at the footage on the phone, and it was doing this weird ethereal just shaking and vibrating to where it was making a special effect on the screen without you doing it. But it would go towards the top of the tunnel on the other end, go down to the top of the tunnel. Well, the other story behind Sensabaugh Tunnel is that the wife hung herself from the other end of the tunnel. So that gave us chills, because the other story all of a sudden was the camera shooting up to the site where she hung herself, and it was literally stopping and vibrating there and then going back down.
Wow.
There's been a plethora of just activity and stories that have happened in Sensaba Tunnel since, that I've heard ever since I was a kid. And I've been out there several times and taken some actual investigation teams with me. We actually captured on the other side of the little tunnel it was a full body apparition picture of it looks like a Native American woman. And, we also went out there to Long Island and had some similar activity there. But, I had somebody tell me that a lot of the stories are hard to find the actual history on.
Yeah.
But with that said, I tend to think with the amount of kids and adults that have come through Sensaba Tunnel for generations to go out there and investigate or cause, trouble or worship the Dark Lord or, whatever it is that kids do that's stupid. I think that they've absolutely poured energy into the place to create maybe a tulpa of what the stories are with the handprints and everything like that, because I truly believe that the energy can go in there and create that. We're about 30 seconds from our next break, but when we come back, I have a couple of Jim Dandies on some questions.
Jim
there.
Dandy questions.
Well, some Jim Dandy questions.
Before we go, you remind me when we get off here, and I'll send you that footage so that you can look at it, because we caught it on camera of it doing the weird stuff.
Oh, I would love that. Absolutely love that. Well, we're going in about 4 seconds. We'll catch you on the other side.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
And we are back with our guests, Bill and Amy Lancaster, who have created a trilogy of Bigfoot films, Cultured Bigfoot, Paranormal Bigfoot, and now Native Bigfoot, their new one. And I'd like to ask Bill if you could tell us about, now that you have these 3 movies, just tell the audience kind of what the difference is between the different films and how that timeline kind of went.
Well, the first film, Cultured Bigfoot, we called it that because it's about the culture of Bigfoot. And we interviewed, I think it was 23 different folks that made it into the film. And we went to several different conferences, conventions, and seminars. And so we were literally showing this community and where they gather, and we were talking to the folks. So the first one was about the Bigfoot community. Mm-hmm. Well, when we got into the community, we realized that there was a subset within the community, the paranormal or the woo crowd, which we'd already talked about. And so we wanted to do another film on the paranormal aspect. And this time we were talking to researchers, and we were also talking to professors from colleges and whatnot that basically were trying to explain how this paranormal is actually misused, and it's actually supernatural is what folks are describing, because paranormal just means outside of the norm, you know. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to give a kind of that. And as with our first one and second one, we're not guiding anybody to make any kind of judgments on what Bigfoot is or whatnot. We're letting you hear it from the people and then let you make your mind up. Well, paranormal Bigfoot, we gave you enough from the science side and from the paranormal side to you decide, but there's quite a few reputable folks that share the opinion there is something going on. And so then the third one, like you always hear from all these people that we had talked to, which the second one was about 9 different people. And so this one, I think we spoke to 7 different First Nation and Native Americans. And so we wanted to hear the Native side, because everybody always talks about within the community that the Native Americans know the real deal. They basically know the secret. They've been dealing with it, we have. And, there's been stories from the 1800s about Bigfoot. But, as far as our modern era, it's been around 1920s, 30s, and then up to 67 with the Patterson-Gimlin footage that has really come into our, kind of lexicon of knowing about the modern era of Bigfoot. And so basically, we're hoping that this is kind of our stuff isn't action movies, it's documentaries and kind of used as reference or resource material. And so we were wanting to kind of bookend them. And the first one, you've got the community. You're getting to explore it if you've never seen it or been to a convention. The second one, you're looking at a community inside the community of the paranormal community and the woo crowd. And then the third one, the ones that don't get included in a lot of this because they hold their secrets and traditions, close to their vest, the native aspects. So we're hoping that, us researching the researchers all the way from the boots on the ground to the professors to the paranormal to the native, we're hoping that anybody that watches our films, because we don't, other than my wife writes and narrates, you won't see us on the film. We have the folks that we're interviewing be the stars of the film and share their experiences. And that's why we say when people ask if we're researchers, well, we're Bigfoot researchers. We are very interested in the subject, but as far as going out and researching, we've gone squatching like 3 times while we've done this. Mm-hmm. But our research is researching the researchers and learning from them.
Right.
Right, absolutely. Which, makes a lot of sense. And honestly, our other show, the podcast that we've done, the Paranormal Sideshow, for 10 years now, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But, in that time with all the guests, we've learned so much just from having that plethora of guests, over the years. It's been really nice. But I was going to ask, a little bit off topic here, but at the same time, it's a very modern and timely topic, especially with some of the things that are going on in the world right now. Just insanity. I mean, we're talking basically in the last 48 hours in this area, it's went from people being kind of standoffish and maybe it's nothing, to everybody, buying every bit of toilet paper they can find and bleach. And I mean, we can't find anything here. We drove hours to try to find, some stuff just to see how bad it went. Cause I like to watch the crazy, happen. But with all this happening, obviously with the coronavirus and, what could be happening if the experts are correct, God forbid that they are, I'd shared a meme back in December, and because I get lost on Reddit sometimes, and on my Paranormal Sideshow Facebook page, I'm always looking for, funny things to crack people up. And a lot of times I'll share 4 or 5 different cartoons a day. But I found this meme, and it was talking about the history of, like the 20, this is 2020, right? And with plagues, and it was just something to scare people and all this stuff. But this was back in early December that I found this, and it's so crazy now because it's got on here. And I looked these up, by the way. Some of them they were forcing in there. I'll be honest. They were in that time range, but you could have just as easily said 19. But then some of them actually started right when it said, right on the 20s. But it goes back like 1320. Bubonic plague is carried by rats and fleas. 1420, Black Death breaks out in 1429. So that's one of the pushing ones. 1520, Aztec Empire destroyed by smallpox. 1620, almost all Mayflower passengers die of disease and infect much of the colony. 1720, Great Plague of Marseille. 1820, the cholera epidemic. In 1920, Los Angeles pneumonic plague. And so I put that out there as a joke, and I was like, hey, everybody be ready for your plague. And lo and behold, 2020. So what's your thoughts? I'll probably be asking every guest until this whole thing is over with, but you got any thoughts one way or another on this?
On the significance of it, or
yes.
just just
on the significance of it, on what's happening with the people. Maybe this is the reason we don't get to find out about Bigfoot and aliens.
Well, I think it all comes down to the toilet paper. I think my opinion is that it's a serious thing, but it's already been proven that the flu that we have lived with to date still kills more people and makes more people sick than this thing has right now, and it's considered a pandemic. And so I honestly think the media has switched gears from, well, the impeachment trial is over, now we've got to put a spin on this, and we're gonna go with this, and they have created the nation of fear that's but then again, you could go to the conspiracy theory stuff, and I think I've told you my favorite one is that this all has to do with the 5G testing in Wuhan and the chemtrails above our heads that they've basically been seeding us with, and they're weaponizing it. And they did a big test of the 5G network in Wuhan at the same time the outbreak happened, and they basically are weaponizing the air against us so that they can reduce the population. And I think that's just a fantastical, not saying I believe it, but anyways, it makes me not want a 5G phone.
Right. No, I understand. Well, the good thing about it is being in the area we do live in, you're lucky to pick up 3G. So, they have to pop sunshine in around here. So,
well, I did have another question. Getting back to the documentaries, I did have a question. I noticed that the cover art for all of your films, like the ads, it all looks very similar. So, do you all use the same artist for? Yes, they're just beautiful.
I'm glad you asked that, because Glenn Paul Richardson out of Galax, Virginia, another what we would consider local guy. I had met him, and you'll know that back in about 2015 at RobCon, I was filming the first film that I worked on, Rite of Passage, an Author's Journey, which was about a local author here in town, Stephen J. Simonis. And as I was filming B-roll, I walked by this guy's table, and he had this Bigfoot, like 8-foot Bigfoot, dressed in army, drab green uniform and helmet, and it was Sasquatch, the Bigfoot of Liberty. And I was like, what? And so I stopped and talked to the guy. Well, we ended up, I had saw him after that in Harlan, Kentucky at the Harlan Haunt Fest. And so I actually interviewed him. We didn't use the interview, but I interviewed him and got to know him. And then he ended up inviting me to a convention he put on in Galax called Con, as in Wrath of Khan, Kahn, Con. And he had invited me to come up there. Well, he was actually going back to school to be a teacher. He had been an officer himself. He was going back to school to be a school teacher at Radford University, I believe is where he went. I hope I'm right on that. But anyways, if he's listening, forgive me, but I think I am right. But anyways, I really liked his he's got some Ashcan comics out. He's trying to get them picked up, but he's got like 3 of those Sergeant Sasquatch, the Bigfoot of Liberty. But anyways, I liked his style, and it was one of those. I said, hey, you want to do some, art for our film here? So he ended up doing the cover art, and then I said, well, we've got this native story in the beginning here, and would you like to do a few bits? So we worked out a deal, a mutual, monetary deal to pay him, because I don't want anything for free, So anyways, and that's the one thing, all of the art that appears in our film and stuff, we have compensated these folks, because we don't like people asking us, well, hey, can you come film? So that being said, this guy ended up wanting to do more in the second one, and we wanted it to all flow. We want it to look like and so I said, yeah, I want this photorealistic, and like his art, people would think that he's just digitally done this. Well, those are like watercolor backgrounds he's created and whatnot. He actually created the font and everything, and then he took the images, the screen grabs that I had sent him, and then he digitally painted those and then put them into that. And so anyways, when we got down to this third film, because he had done in the second film, in Paranormal Bigfoot, he had done the artwork for the Granny Got a Gun, a lot of watercolor, and it was really neat looking. So this one, being the third one, he really wanted to do more. So thank goodness he bookended our cover art. And if you'll look at the cover art from the first to the second one, he basically took the watercolor background and flipped it, and then he put the folks in a juxtaposition from the first one so that it makes all flow together. He thinks of this stuff like that. Well, he ended up creating artwork for how many stories, Amy? We got the Harry Hart, Shaitanka,
4,
Swinty, like four different stories he created. Oh, and the grandfather teachings. He created artwork for like 4 or 5 stories in this film. Really wanted to flesh it out with some more of his artwork in it, and say enough about it. And if you see some of the stuff that I've been sharing on Facebook, and if you see on his page, and once you watch the film, you'll see it's just the colors and stuff. And he really, like, this guy went to the Smithsonian, to the natural history and to the native part of the museum, to drove up there to do some research and everything while he was creating the art for us. And other part of our team is that he does he is the main artist. We have a couple other friends, Russell Easterbrooks, Jamie Snell, and Wayne Barnes, that also have contributed a few pieces. But our main artist that you're talking about is Glenn Paul Richardson, and he now is currently teaching art after he got his degree and everything. And by the way, you'll appreciate this, John, because how he was paying for, he was going to these Comic-Cons and selling his art and his comic book, and put himself back through school to get his degree.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we love the art. When we went to the second movie premiere and got to buy a piece and of it, of the art, and on display in our office, and just love it absolutely, because it puts me in mind of something that could have been on the cover of The Legend of Boggy Creek. It's got like that 1970s feel to it.
Hey, you know what? Me and you are Star Wars geeks, and he was going for the Indiana Jones Star Wars Drew Struzan style, the artist that did a lot of that.
Absolutely.
That's so funny you picked up on that. He'll be so proud, because we were both going for that vibe of an old Indiana Jones Star Wars cover art, like the artist Drew Struzan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's my favorite thing in the world. Like, just absolutely, if I could just live in one time period, that would be it for eternity. So, I was going to ask you, during this journey that you both have had, and this question will really be for both of you, what has been the most compelling witnessed, that the story that you've heard, has something that really just stuck with you and stuck out that you think back to, and it really is like, this is why we do this. This story was just so compelling. And do you remember the story?
Boy, we're looking at each other hoping the other will go first.
Well, I mean, because we've talked to so many
There's
folks.
a lot of compelling people, and I'm afraid I'll just start picking out favorites.
Go ahead.
So go ahead and pick out favorites. Yeah. Well, I guess in the first one, I was intrigued with Dr. Meldrum, just because he's an academic, and for an academic to openly involve themselves with this is intriguing, and he's, because of his academic background, he's well spoken and really is able to expound on the logic of Bigfoot in a way that not many of us are. I really enjoyed him. I guess in the second one, I like David Bacara. He really, he tends to, he seems like he really leans towards, being open to the possibility that Bigfoot is more than flesh and blood. So, but he's a very grounded man, and I really appreciated, his grounded perspective on, how he rationalizes these strange stories, because he's the one that told us most of those stories, that some of the strangest stories. So, he might have been one of my favorites. And I like Darby Orcutt too. He offered,
professor from
he offered some good outside perspective, not being in the Bigfoot community. And native Bigfoot, well, I'm still thinking that over.
Right.
I'll tell you, probably, and this is not to belittle any of the interviews, but probably the absolute coolest interview to me was when I went to Virginia up near Waynesboro, and Ron Moorhead from the Sierra Sounds, Ron Moorhead, met me at my little pop-up camper in July and sat down for over an hour in the pop-up camper, and we had to turn the air conditioner off because are so loud. He sat there. That man is the real life Indiana Jones. I mean, he's been to the Nazca lines. He's been to check those Paracas skulls and stuff. And he obviously recorded back in 73, 74, him and Al Berry recorded at the Sierra camp, those famous Bigfoot sounds that, just like the Patterson-Gimlin footage, it's really hard to dispute. And besides being such a gracious man and just super nice guy, he was the most fascinating guy, and he has a lot of science that he puts into what he's talking about, not just wanting you to just believe it because he looks like a very cool, interesting guy, but he wants you to know he's done his homework. Besides recording, next to the Patterson-Gimlin footage, the next biggest is those Sierra Sounds. And so to me, the coolest thing I ever probably did, and like I said, I hate this because we've talked to so many, that was probably the coolest thing I ever did. Whoa. And to find out that he was just such a nice guy, and we still will have occasional chats now and then. He's really neat. He is the guy that does what we would like to do, go to South America and Machu Picchu and Lake Titicaca and all this stuff. And, this guy he's done a plethora of traveling.
Right. Well, that Sierra footage, the audio from the Sierra camp, that is some of the most horrifying things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, the samurai chatter and all that. Yeah, that's crazy, scary.
I mean, how do you even place that into a box? If anything, that opened up more questions for me than answers by far.
Yeah. Well, it put me in the mind of how you had heard before we actually talked to the native people and First Nations themselves. A lot of people say that they're like another tribe or a lost tribe of Indians. Well, when you hear that and you hear what they talk about the samurai chatter and everything. Well, it's obvious, that they had a cryptolinguist, check that out and everything. Obvious that they're communicating back and forth. And so you could see where somebody could say that this is like a lost tribe of, Native Americans or something here, So yeah, it was, it's wild. He was gracious enough when I was scheduling and talking to do the interviews that he sent me both of his books. And by the way, Quantum Bigfoot is the latest one, but the first one was Voices in the Wilderness, and it encounter at the Sierra Camp, but it also comes with a CD that has all of the recordings. John, you've got to get it because it's so fascinating to stick that thing in your computer and then just dissect them. And so anyways, he was gracious enough that they showed up in the mail. And so I've got those to listen to anytime I want.
I am ordering that as soon as we are done. I didn't know this was a thing. And
I know it's a lot of people don't. They know his Quantum Bigfoot one. That's
right.
Kind of the big one lately. But the Voices in the Wilderness, I literally sat down and I read through that thing in a day and then stuck the CD in, and because he'll reference the number and you can literally listen to the sound he's talking about. Fascinating.
Oh yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's just it's always been so freaky to me. But we've got about 15 seconds here before our break, and we'll be back with around the top of the hour
with Bill and Amy Lancaster
talking about some
native Bigfoot.
Can you draw this out anymore?
No.
Some native Bigfoot.
We'll be back.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best-rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I'm bringing you the Woo every Monday through Friday on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going all out to bring you the strangest, oddest stories and subjects I could find for your entertainment. Why? Because when we hit peak Woo, I know I've done my job. So come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, and together, my friends, we own the night.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
My hands can feel good. I'm free. I'm remembering who I am. My hands can feel good. I'm free. I'm remembering who I am. My hands can feel good. I'm free. I'm remembering who I am. My hands can feel good.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio Saturday. We're your guides, John and Stacey Edwards.
We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And on the digital side, we are on Revolution Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And do me a solid and smash that subscribe button.
The website is spacedoutradio.com, where we may need a bigger boat for all the features for you, including rocking out to some Bumblefoot, shop at the Spaced Out Radio store, and read up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more.
We're still here talking with Bill and Amy Lancaster about their new documentary, Native Bigfoot, the third in a series of really awesome Bigfoot documentaries that we love. And welcome back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I gotta big question for you, Bill. This one's going to be deep. We know your love for Star Wars, and I just have to ask you, sir, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Favorite Star Wars movie, and I'll date myself because I was born in '68, so I was one of the lucky ones that was a kid in '77 when it came out, and we lived in Columbus, Ohio, technically Reynoldsburg, Ohio, and my dad took me and my brother to see it at the theater when it came out, when it was called Star Wars. It wasn't A New Hope. It wasn't Episode 4, and that will be my favorite Star Wars movie because, to be quite honest with you, it is still probably my favorite movie, period, because you'd never seen anything like that. You had seen sci-fi movies and everything, but you never seen anything look that real. And still today, if you have like the old VHS copy of it and you look at it today, the practical effects of it hold. So my favorite Star Wars movie, a lot of people always go to Empire, and yeah, I loved it. But my favorite Star Wars movie was when Star Wars was just called Star Wars, the first movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually with you on that. I know we have a lot of Empire fans and stuff. I'll tell you what, though, I absolutely love the Mandalorian series.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, that, you know what, that's is the best thing that they have done since, I'm going to be honest with you, since Return of the Jedi. The best thing they had done was Rogue One, and then the next best thing they did was The Mandalorian. Now, I like the other stuff. The episode 1, 2, and 3 were my least favorite. They were the ones I wanted the most after all that. But The Mandalorian, the Mandalorian just feels so much like the original stuff, and they're telling stories outside the Skywalker saga, but still within that universe. And so you're getting to see some of these aliens that you wanted to see some more action with. And yeah, no, the Mandalorian was, Rogue One was great. You always wanted our plans and how they got them. And so that was just an absolutely great story. And then Mandalorian come on. And as far as I'm concerned, the Mandalorian has pulled a bunch of folks back in that just said to heck with it and just left them.
No, I totally agree. And the funny thing about this, once again, I'm not just saying this, because I've heard a lot of people, some people didn't have Rogue One as one of their favorites or something. So funny enough, other than the first trilogy, Rogue One, I absolutely love. I can go back and rewatch that anytime and completely happy. And then The Mandalorian. It's the same thing. And I always talk about, the ships are supposed to be dirty. It's supposed to be in a world where we're having to scavenge for things and all this. So, and the reason I bring all this up for the listeners, I know that was one of the big inspirations for you to make films in the first place, and so I was really excited to find out which one was your actual favorite.
Yeah, no, Star Wars is what made me like movies. My dad, when I was a kid in Chattanooga, Tennessee, watching Dr. Shock Theater on Saturday nights, made me like all the old horror, black and white, Monster, the Blob, and all that kind of stuff like that, and then the Star Trek and everything. But what made me like movies was Star Wars, and what made me want to make a movie eventually, it took me a long time to do it, but was George Lucas and Star Wars. I knew that I didn't have the ability or the payroll to make a Star Wars film. And so me and Amy went to the next best thing that I knew realistically we could do. We loved documentaries. And so I was like, we can make a documentary. And that's what we did. And so we're still trying to hone our skills on that because we're self-taught. We didn't learn this in a college course or anything like that. Everything that we're doing, from the writing to the sound to the filming and everything, we have, literally lynda.com videos and YouTube videos and Google. Everything about the digital age and editing that, I'm applying to what we do now. We're not perfect and we make mistakes, but I had Seth Breedlove, who's a friend of ours and a mentor from Small Town Monsters, who is now like on his 8th or 9th film and on a second series and everything. And he had said when we got our first film out, he said, you know what? Congratulations. He said, folks won't do what you did because it's too hard to do. They'll stick 5 to 15 minutes up on YouTube and they just won't go that extra mile. And so no matter what reception you get out of it, if they want to, kind of down you for it or whatever, let them do what you guys accomplish. You did it on a shoestring budget while you were working your regular jobs, teaching yourself how to do it and everything. And so that was a big compliment coming from him that we had done what we did. And so it inspired us to kind of keep learning and growing and trying to make them better each time. And we really are hoping that this third film in the trilogy, Native Bigfoot, we're hoping that a lot of folks will look from 1 to 3 in this, and although we didn't title them episodes, but to the third film, and they'll go, wow, yeah, no, they really kind of upped their game. That's what we're hoping.
Well, I can tell people that, number one, to speak on your making it yourself thing, we've made several documentaries, and going all the way back to around 2004 was when I started making my first paranormal documentary. And so many things have went through with these that we've made. I have way more that ended up just footage in a vault. Even though we one time we had 7 camera guys, all pro shot. We had sound people. We had, on the spot mixing. We had everything you can imagine. And we had 3 nights of filming. We had all the history. We went out and did all the B-roll. And just when we got to the editing process, things fell apart. And it just happens. And, so all this money you put into it, it's just hard to get through. We have, thankfully, knock on wood, we have a few that, did see the light of day. But it's just, it is very taxing and it's hard to get through it. So I applaud the fact that you've put them out and you've put them out consecutively like you have. And I can tell anyone who has not seen this yet, you really need to go out of your way to go to Amazon Prime. If you want to check the first 2 out, I guarantee you're going to want to buy the third one because they are fantastic. And it's not your normal Bigfoot documentary. It's not your normal documentary that, like they've been talking, they interview the researchers, and they really have some great, compelling interviews, and the sound quality is great, and the film is great. So I can't say enough good things about it. It's the reason I wanted you guys, on the show with us. And going to ask you something real quick. We've got about 15 minutes left here of the show, 14 minutes with you guys on here, and I wanted to ask you, Amy. You talked about the David Pilates books earlier. And with the national parks, the Missing 411, oddly enough, before we had ever seen one of those books, and going back again, dating us quite a ways, we've always had strange encounters with national parks and heard some strange things happening with the national parks. What are your thoughts on that? I know we mentioned that, but with some of the just crazy amount of stories. I mean, is that something that's being talked about in the community quite a bit now?
Yes, actually it is. Virtually every podcast that we follow mentions those 411 books almost regularly. I mean, it is. And I know that, it's probably important for me to mention that, really separates his 411. So, unless I'm not up to date with him and any new theories, he really does not respond well when people try to read into, the 411 books that it's Bigfoot abducting these people. I mean, that's, not what he's suggesting at all. So,
Right.
I want to be careful, I don't know who's listening, but, clarify that. But yes, it is definitely something that I think anybody that listens to Bigfoot or any type of paranormal is familiar with David Paulides. And, I certainly I've read most of the books, except for maybe the most recent 2 that he's put out. And I, not the biggest researcher in the world, so it's not like I've gone back and verified everything that he puts in there. But, some of the stories I have seen on the news, and some of them I'm familiar with, to know that, he's not making this up. I mean, there is definitely, something strange that appears to be going on. I mean, he presents the evidence without theories. So, we all maybe have our own theories, our private theories, and I'm sure he does too. But, it would appear that he is just like the basic facts of the case.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, I really enjoy them. I think they're interesting.
See, that's another thing. David Paulides is another one of those guys with a law enforcement background also. And so he literally, if you've read any of his books, it reads more like an accident report than it does a book, because he's literally recounting the facts from it. But that's what makes it all the more. He's not presenting conjecture. He's presenting what the facts were in these particular cases. And if you guys know, one of the big cluster areas is right down the road from us in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Well, that didn't make me want to go hiking in the Smokies much anymore.
Well, Bill, tell us here at the last few minutes that we have, just tell the people maybe a little bit about what's next for you all, what's coming up next, and how people can see your movies and order your DVDs.
As we kind of mentioned briefly, one of the things that's asked to us at the conventions that we've done with all 3 of the movies is they always want to know, because the first movie was like an hour and 20 minutes, the second one was an hour and 30, this one's an hour and 8 minutes. They realize that you talk about days after you show the film that you sat with, Ron for over an hour and, Meldrum for this amount of time. You've got all that other footage. Are you guys planning on sharing that? Well, we basically have decided, yes, we've got all this extra interview footage, and we have a couple interviews that couldn't make it into films. She had mentioned one earlier about the white lady and the Bigfoot with a lady from out on the West Coast. Avis include hers in one of those. Anyways, we're going to do what's called Bigfoot Archives. Bilco Productions presents Bigfoot Archives, which I've already got a Facebook page up for it. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically do some behind-the-scenes stuff, and we're going to sit down and kind of talk about, what went into doing this and, some of the hurdles or whatnot for this particular interview here or whatnot. And we'll release with the ones that we're able to as much of the interview, short of cutting out, somebody coughing or sneezing. We're going to try and release some of those interviews in their entirety so that all of the other fascinating stuff that Ron talked about that we couldn't fit in there, or Alan Yerxa from Native Bigfoot couldn't fit in there, that way we can share this. And so what we're going to do is we're not going to do DVDs at this point with it. We're going to put them up on rent and download sometime after we release Native Bigfoot, starting with the ones from Cultured Bigfoot and working our way up through it. And if we have enough folks that are interested in them and want DVDs, then we'll consider putting together a set of, like the first 5 interviews on a DVD or whatnot. So in the immediate future, that's the next thing is Bigfoot Archives. And of course, on Facebook, you can find every one of the films, Cultured Bigfoot, Paranormal Bigfoot, Native Bigfoot. They all have their own Facebook page. Bilco Productions has its own Facebook page, and Bigfoot Archives has its own Facebook page. And then we also have a Square site where you can buy the films and you can buy the T-shirts that we have at the cons and the poster art from the front of the. You talked about Glenn Paul Richardson's poster art there. If you go to this is all lowercase, Bilco with one L, Bilco-Productions.square.site. You go there and you can actually, with a secure transaction, you can order the DVDs, the stickers and all that kind of stuff, T-shirts and everything, the swag that goes with that. And I think that's it. We're Facebook. We put on YouTube, Darth Bill 68. You know, I'm a Star Wars fan, so we'll put trailers up there and everything. But Amazon is where we'll be putting. It's a digital age, and we found that out, that most of the folks check our stuff out on Amazon. And so right now, Cultured Bigfoot, Paranormal Bigfoot are on Amazon Prime. You can still rent and download them too if you don't have Amazon Prime. And Native Bigfoot will be premiering Wild Weird Con in West Virginia on April 4th in Logan, West Virginia at Chief Logan State Park. And then the next day on the 5th is when the DVDs and the everything will be released to the general public and released on Amazon.
Sweet. And appreciate all that information there, because I really want to make sure people get a chance to see this. Anybody who's interested in the Bigfoot phenomena. And speaking of that, I got a final question for you here, really. It's do you think, and this is for both of you, do you think that we will have that concrete, answer? Do you think that, and not next week or, in a couple of months or anything like that? I absolutely hope. But, over the past 2 years, we've had a lot of information come out from the United States government that with UFOs, and To the Stars Academy has done a job and, put it out there, and some stuff that's really hard to say that's not UFOs when you have the government saying we have no idea what this is. And in the same vein, do you believe that, there's documents out there that with the government that may know something that has to do with the Bigfoot Sasquatch phenomena, or is there going to be something come out where we find out maybe it's interdimensional, maybe something like that, but that concrete piece of footage, that concrete thing where people absolutely say, well, okay, this is what it is?
I'll start first. I honestly think that the government, it sounds like the conspiracy theory thing, but I think they already know and they're not willing to share it. There's too many credible, witnesses and you call them blob squatches and blurry footage and everything. But there's so many accounts and everything. And I've talked to so many different people that I think that they know and they're not willing to share it. And if you'll even Google somewhere in the 70s, I think it was Washington State, even in one of their Army like field guide books or ROTC books, they even have a famous page out of there about, if you encounter a Sasquatch. And you don't really see that much, but you can Google it, and trust me, it'll take you just a few seconds. You'll find what I'm talking about. And it was in an Army manual, a hand-drawn thing and some sighting locations and whatnot and what to do. I don't think that they'll release it because I think just like the spotted owl thing in California where they basically stopped all the people, the industry put them on hold because they were not wanting to destroy the habitat. Well, if Bigfoot is hiding out in all these national forests and everything, then one of those multi-billion-dollar industries of the national park system would get squashed really quick because they couldn't let people just knowingly go out there after they said that, and people start getting encounters and aggressive encounters with these creatures, possibly. Then all of a sudden there's a liability issue is what I'm getting at. So therefore, I think they'll continue, like David's books, Missing 411 say, they'll continue to let people go disappear and not really have an explanation and not keep track of it in the park system. And I think that it's one of those things, they know it's happening and there's either nothing they can do about it, or they're allowing it to happen, or they will not ever have full disclosure with us. That's my opinion. Do you have anything, Amy?
Yeah, probably fairly similar. I think that the government definitely kind of knows what's going on, and I think that disclosure would not come unless it served some kind of purpose for us to know. I think that the government definitely knows more than they let on to us.
Yeah, and I mean, I really, I hate to go this way, but I really believe that some of it, and this is just a personal opinion, wraps up to the time before time, so to speak. And it's something I'm really big on with, like your ancient archaeology. The fact that there was high functioning, intelligent human beings doing things before the last cataclysm, and way before there was supposed to be anybody on this continent. And I think that it's gonna ultimately be something to do with that, or could be. So it's another subject for another time. But I want to say thank you both for joining us.
Absolutely.
And it's been a great conversation. And again, everybody go out of your way to check this out.
Yes, thank you guys for coming on so much. And
thank you. We enjoyed it.
We really enjoyed it. Congratulations and good luck on your new Saturday night spots here. And we really appreciate being a guest on your premiere show. It was an honor.
Well, thank you. And we are heading off to break, and stick around after the break for There's Something Strange About This Week.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night, where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Are you addicted to the woo? Good. Me too. This is Dave Scott, and you can woo it up with me every Monday through Friday, starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, for 3 hours of great entertainment in the subjects you love. UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, intuition. Yes, we hit it all 5 days a week. Look for us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, my friends, we own the night.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
There's something strange about this week.
It's now that time to loosen up your mind and enjoy the weird we find, because there is something strange about this week.
All right, welcome to the last 30 minutes of the show. And for this segment, we are going to talk about some weird and strange things that happened in the week to come. And this week's going to be from March 15th to March 20th.
Yeah, there you go.
Next week. So some really strange dates to watch out for in this next coming week. Of course, March 15th. the Ides of March.
Beware the Ides of March.
Yes, where, of course, Julius Caesar was killed. Everybody knows all about that. Did you know that the Ides, do you know what the Ides of March are?
Well, tell us, Stacey.
It's just the middle.
Yeah.
The Ides just mean the middle. I didn't know that for a long time.
And, you know, I played Julius Caesar in a school play.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yes, well, apparently every month has Ides. I was born on the Ides of October.
Oh, there you go.
So, of course, as we go on, March 17th, this is St. Patrick's Day. So give some love to your local little leprechaun. Wear some green.
Yeah, leave some tobacco out and a nice little drink.
And March 19th is the spring equinox. And for those of you that celebrate the spring equinox, of course, the end of winter, the start of spring, finally.
Yeah,
finally.
hopefully.
Good time to do some spring cleaning, you know, any type of cleansing things that you might want to do during the spring equinox.
I believe everyone is going to be cleansing quite a bit.
I think so.
Maybe not the cleansing we were expecting, but, you know, it's went to buy some chicken earlier, and we walk in, and everybody is like covered in plastic head to toe. They're washing everything as it comes, and they wouldn't even let us get our own straws for the drinks.
Yeah, no, they had to give us everything. They wouldn't let us get it on our own. And an interesting holiday this next week, March 20th, is Extraterrestrial Abductions Day.
Oh, yay!
Or Alien Abduction Day.
And which day is this?
On March 20th.
Oh, we cannot forget to celebrate that. I mean, should we go ahead and
I'm not sure how you celebrate that.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
you stand outside, and supposedly the holiday was popularized in 2008 when there was an Alien Abduction Day festival in Toronto, and now it's celebrated each year.
Oh.
Of course, the origin of the day is unknown, but it is a worldwide holiday for anyone that, you know, wishes to be abducted or is interested in it, or maybe just wants to watch an alien abduction movie.
So
that'd be a good way to celebrate.
I wonder if the aliens are aware.
Oh, maybe we shouldn't have said anything out loud.
Well, I'm sure there's some aliens listening right now. I guarantee it. But, you know, they're always watching us.
Right.
So
right.
With the stuff we do on our other show there. Our side show. Ha ha ha.
Oh, good joke.
Yeah, good joke. That's the name of it.
So there's some interesting dates coming up for this next week, so make sure that your week will be strange.
Oh, yeah.
Next week. So let's talk about some strange things that happened in history this next week.
Do it.
Yes. So let's talk about on March 15th in 1806. A chondrite meteorite was found outside of Alais, France.
Mm-hmm.
And the organic chemicals that were carried in this meteorite suggested the possibility of life on whatever body was the source. So this was the first time any organic chemicals were identified in a meteorite.
Wow.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah, and the world was never the same.
No. And funny enough that particular meteorite is very rare. To this day, only 9 of that kind of meteorite exist that we know about.
So what do you think the French thought it was?
I have no idea.
Did it cause them to have a revolution or anything? You got to watch them.
I mean, I guess maybe.
I give Stacey a hard time for the overwhelming amount of French in her from Francais in her blood.
Yes, I'm very French Canadian.
Yes, you are.
Very French Canadian. All right. So in history, also on March 17th, here's one that you will relate to.
Okay.
This is about the album, The Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh.
Very strange album. But on March 17th.
You mean a very strange album? It's a very complete and awesome piece of work by one of the greatest rock and roll bands in history.
That is absolutely true. But on March 17th in 1973, it hit the top 200 chart. And it stayed on that top 200 chart for 736 weeks, which is the record. It still, to this day, holds the record for the longest consecutive run on the Billboard Top 200 list.
That is kind of crazy. So I wonder how long The Wall was on there.
I don't know.
I don't know. If I had to take one of the two to an island with me.
Right.
I would have to take The Wall.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Without a question. But you know what? That might be the album I take.
It could be. Did you ever do the dark side of the moon where you synced it up with the
Dark
Wizard
Side
of
of the
Oz?
Rainbow?
The dark side of the rainbow. That's what it's called.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I could talk about your pastimes because I did that with you.
Oh, I vaguely remember. Moving on. I vaguely remember that.
Oh, it worked really well, I could see.
It does say that even though they had that consecutive reign for 736 weeks, it came off the charts and went back on. So it also holds the record for the most charted weeks on that chart at 917.
Well, there you go.
And there's not been an album that has surpassed that to
Well,
this day.
that's a holy record of Floyd.
It really is. It really is. All right. So on this week in history, on March 16th in 1926, the U.S. professor and scientist Robert Hutchings Goddard launched the world's first liquid-fueled rocket.
Wow.
And wow, look where that got us today.
Well, I mean, it got us in all kinds of problems, probably. That was the first day that Heepoo up there beside Mars was hovering around going, hey, wait a second. What was it those humans just did?
So it was the first of its kind rocket, and it reached an altitude of 41 feet, lasted for 2 seconds, and averaged about 60 miles per hour.
It did better than Mad Mike.
But at the time, back in 1926, his discoveries were given very little attention by the U.S. government. And
so they say. Very little attention, I'm sure.
And he had an original paper that was published called A Method for Reaching Extreme Altitudes. And unfortunately, the press got wind of this paper that he wrote talking about how you could send payloads to the moon. And the New York Times wrote a scathing editorial denouncing his theories as folly.
Oh, really?
Imagine that.
The New York Times writing something that wasn't accurate?
And so Goddard was ridiculed, and he was made to look like a fool. And, he kept his composure, and he just said, every vision is a joke until the first man accomplishes it. And once it's realized, it becomes commonplace.
It is so true.
It is.
That can be, you can say those words today.
Mm-hmm.
Think about through history, right? You've got all these, just think of philosophers, inventors, just the smartest minds you've ever had, right?
Mm-hmm.
People that have changed the world. And it's all a bunch of dreamers. It's all a bunch of people that really think for themselves, and they were either thrown in jail for their beliefs, or they were ridiculed or chastised, or excommunicated from a church or something or another,
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people that years later we always look back
Mm-hmm.
and we're like, oh, the genius of him and
Mm-hmm.
or her, and what a great job they did.
Exactly.
And still yet, what happens? Still yet, you have somebody come out
Mm-hmm.
and say something, fantastical, but yet it makes a little sense and everybody poo-poos it.
That's right.
It's just, we were talking about the ancient Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at stuff that Graham, Hancock, look at the stuff that he's been through.
Mm-hmm.
And now his stuff is becoming true.
Mm-hmm.
This whole time he's been saying, I really believe that there was a high level people before then, and we found it, and now they're digging it up.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when it says that when American rocket scientists began to earnestly prepare for space exploration, they discovered that it was almost impossible to build a rocket or launch a satellite without acknowledging Goddard's work. So now he is known as the father of modern rocketry. And of course, we have the Goddard Space Center. Exactly. And all of his achievements contributed immensely to the scientific exploration of space. And unfortunately, he didn't live to see the age of space flight, but his rocket research became the fundamental principles of rocket propulsion. And so a day after the Apollo 11 set off for the moon, the New York Times printed a correction to its 1920 editorial where they, made fun of him. And they stated that it is now definitely established that a rocket can function in a vacuum as well as in an atmosphere. The Times regrets the error.
I think actually when these things happen, they should find said reporters and bring them out to the middle of the street. I don't want to hurt them or stone them or anything like that. That would be barbaric and horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do something like that, maybe we should get a bunch of Shetland ponies, nice little cute Shetland ponies, and draw and quarter them with Shetland ponies. So it's not really going to kill them. It's going to, like a minor aggravation.
Right. Stretch them out a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. But they get the point, right? They're not going to ride anything again. Once the Shetland ponies attack, all bets are off.
That's right. That's right. All right. So another strange thing that happened in this next week on March 20th. So this is from 1345.
Oh.
Now, this is the date, March 20th, March 20th, 1345 was allegedly, according to some scholars at the University of Paris, allegedly when the plague was created.
Oh, wow.
So they have come out, these scholars from the University of Paris said that the Black Death was created on that day from what they called a triple conjunction of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars in the 40th degree of Aquarius, which happened to occur on the 20th of March in 1345. They put that out as a theory.
Right.
Of course, we all know that the bubonic plague came from infected fleas, and from rats, and not from the weird, planet alignment on this specific day.
Absolutely. So you're thinking it was the planet alignment?
No. I really don't think it was the planet. I mean, maybe it had something to do with it. Maybe it affected the rats.
Yeah, maybe it just made them, rat I don't know. I mean, who really knows, right?
Right, but I don't know. It's a weird assertion, I
What
suppose.
did you think about that meme that I covered a while ago?
I thought that was really scary, fascinating.
I mean, every 100 years, basically, when you get to the 20, there is some kind of plague.
Mm-hmm. Some kind of weird sickness. And
I mean, I posted that as a joke, but, now I go back to, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, right? We don't believe in coincidences.
Right.
So I go back to why in the world was I on Reddit for like 7 hours that night looking up weird art memes? I mean, because I can't explain it. All I know is that while I was doing that, I found that, and I was like, well, that's stupid.
Right.
I remember that. I even got a hold of you. I was like, look at this. Let's just post this because we'll be able to laugh at people here in 6 months. And yeah, we're not laughing now.
No,
we're thankfully not sick, but we're not laughing.
And we're not hoarding toilet paper.
No, we're not,
because we could barely find any.
Yeah, we're not hoarding anything.
All right, so let's move on to March 21st. And
Okay.
this is from 1788. So on March 21st, 1788, it was the Great New Orleans Fire. And this is the one that blew through 856 of the 1,100 structures in New Orleans, Louisiana. And at the time, this area is what's the French Quarter now. And a lot of the buildings there were all wood. And it was on Good Friday, and the blaze began about 1:30 p.m. at the home of Army Treasurer Don Vicente. And when they tried to alarm people that the fire was going on, because it was a holy day, the priests refused to allow the church bells to be rung as a fire alarm.
You're kidding me.
No. And so within 5 hours, it had consumed the entire city. And it was being fed by this strong wind from the southeast. So that's why they lost so many buildings. And then, of course, when they rebuilt, I think it was like 6 years, took them like 6 years, they had replaced the wooden buildings with, more masonry structures and courtyards and thick brick walls and wrought iron, things like that.
So do you think maybe that that priest had wanted, the sin and...
was he purging the city?
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to purge a city, New Orleans might be the place to start. Not for me.
Right.
I tend to take to the fun side of New Orleans myself. I would be in the voodoo shop and talking about stuff like that. But for the muggles,
right?
Right. Well, J. Ron actually says in the chat room, Baton Rouge would be where we start to. So. Maybe we need to take the wisdom of the chat room here.
Well, there was another fire in New Orleans a few years later. I don't remember what year it is, but they had another big fire, but it wasn't quite as devastating because clearly they rebuilt with brick and wrought iron instead of all the wood.
It's like the It reminds me of like the Three Little Pigs in real life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they started with straw, and that didn't work.
Yeah, the preacher burned down the first town, then he burned down the next town. It's like a whole it's a Christian version.
Is that what it is?
It is, yeah, maybe somehow. Continue.
All right. Well, the last one I have for this week also on March 21st. This is from 2006, and this is probably the weirdest one of all. Twitter was founded.
Oh no.
Yes. And we can see what a mess that has led to.
Oh, that's just changed the world. I mean, that has changed the world. Twitter was founded in what year?
2006 is what I've got written down
2006. I wonder who had an account then.
I have no idea. Not me.
No. I don't think I got anything till like 2009.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because everybody had that one account that they built up, and then, they decided they weren't going to say bad things about people, and they changed it. Not that I have one of those.
Right. Not that we have 3 or 4 different Twitter accounts.
It's not that anybody could find, but no, we actually changed the name of our other show that we do, the podcast that we do. We changed the name of it several times, and it was just because we had a very localized name for the first one, but had a huge audience. Then we changed it again, but that one was more of a video show until we got the Paranormal Sideshow. So we had to restart every time because I don't think you can pull over the same people. But I don't know. That's some interesting stuff.
Thank you. And if you all want to hear more about John and myself, you can always listen to our show, which is Paranormal Sideshow.
Yeah, as long as Spaced Out Radio is not on.
Right.
Yeah, just to get you through.
Our show's not live, so
no, thank God.
Whenever Spaced Out Radio is not on, if you need something in between, just go to paranormalsideshow.com.
There you go.
And you can find us.
The shameless shilling of Stacey Edwards.
I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, no, it's really funny about the Ides of March. It snuck up on me.
It did it.
I guess I should have beware.
You should have beware.
A2 Brutai?
I think the story goes that it was a soothsayer that warned him to beware the Ides of March, and apparently he did not beware.
No, he did not. Be fair. not very well at all. It's so funny, man. It's Stacy and I, we really love listening to old books and stuff on Audible because we do a lot of traveling. And I'll throw this in here at the last of the show. I could put this in here, but we had this book, the Three Musketeers, and I'd read it as a child, but obviously I read the abridged version because oh my God, and it just made me thinking about it when we were talking about school and talking about classics books and classic stories. We listened to this on the way to the beach a couple of weeks ago and listened to it on the way back. And it was it was fantastic. It was all this, for the time it was written, early 1800s.
Swashbuckling and great.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. It could have been written yesterday. And it was just really good. And you get to the end and they kill Constance. I mean, the love of D'Artagnan. I mean,
spoiler alert! If you never read,
come on,
if you never read the Three Musketeers,
come on, it's 130 years ago. I don't listen. My spoiler alert. I'll give you a couple of days,
right?
But a couple of hundred. I mean, come on. No, I want to thank everybody for being here with us tonight on the first time out. Can't wait to grow with you guys and be with you each and every Saturday night.
Yes.
We are loving this. We're not going to go anywhere. We are the final Saturday night host you'll ever have. And just to let you know, we signed the long-term contract with Dave for, I think it was, we say 21 years?
I don't remember.
It's something like that.
I saw the word life in there somewhere.
I don't
know.
Well, he knows how I've lived.
Well, we want to thank our guests again, Bill and Amy Lancaster, and be sure and check out all of their cool documentaries on Amazon, The Cultured Bigfoot, Paranormal Bigfoot, and, of course, the new one, Native Bigfoot. That will be out soon, I believe April 5th on Amazon.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yes. Or you can just, if you don't have Prime, you can just download it.
Yeah, you can buy it. You can rent it. You can do all that good stuff. And on Amazon Prime, he's got the first two already. If you're a Prime member, you can watch. And then the other one will eventually be up there too.
Yes. So that is going to be all for this evening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I hear you. It's sad. I'm ready to go another 2 hours.
Are we? Yeah, I know. We don't get any more time. It's not like our show where we can just ramble on as long as we want to.
Well, that's probably good for the people. They get to keep their sanity. There's a little bit of professionalism around this joint. So.
All right. Well.
Thanks again, everybody.
We've got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal hypnotizing our senses with The Day After. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Always tip your bartender and show some mad love for the guitar deity himself.
A special thanks to everyone listening in at home, in your cars, your big rigs at work, the asylum, in our chat rooms, or wherever you may be.
And remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thanks for sharing your Saturday with us. Because together, my friends, we own the night.
Now let Bumblefoot drive us back to reality until we take this trip again. Good night.